being here. This is the first, hopefully annual, Do Good Fair hosted by the Center for Peace and Conflict Studies. My name is Maddie Martinez Mandel. I'm the coordinator for the center and have been working at ACC for about 3 years now. When we first thought of sort of creating the Do Good Fair, we realized there's a simple problem here at ACC. You talk to any student and you can tell that they are deeply passionate and care about a lot of different issues in our communities. But the unfortunate reality is schooling, jobs, family responsibilities, all of these things make it difficult to engage on the issues that matter most to them. So, thinking about sort of our schedule of the day and sort of where we spend our most time, it's unfortunately at our job. We're spending typically 8, 10, 12 hours a day at work, and often towards things and causes that certainly help pay the bills and keeps a roof over your head, food on the table, but it doesn't necessarily help you address those issues that you care about the most. So the point of this fair is to, as Frank would call it, figuring out how to do good within the community while also doing well for yourself. Finding an opportunity to create a career out of doing good for your community. So today we have some fantastic panelists, both in person and virtual. Both will be recorded and uploaded and shared with everyone after the event to basically connect with fantastic people doing fantastic work in our community. So I'm going to hand it over to Frank, our faculty advisor, but thank you so much for being here and I hope you have fun.
So, one of the rules about these kind of things and social justice work is that you never tell anyone else's story. You only tell your own story. So let me start by telling a Maddie story. Lots of people talk about problems. Lots of people see problems, and honestly, lots of people complain about problems. 4 months ago, we started this conversation after a circle with students, and we're here now. And that's because Maddie and Michelle are not talkers, they're doers. They make things happen when they see problems. They don't say they should do something, they say we're going to do something. And it's refreshing to be around people like that. And for those students out there, I strongly suggest you look into the organization because it's a special organization, the Peace and Conflict Center. Um, we're trying to find that intersection between your passions and the skill sets you're developing here at ACC and what our society needs. That place where it all overlaps, that's where the magic happens. That's where the purpose happens, and that's where the drive to do more for everybody involved happens. And it's kind of bring your own BYOS, bring your own skills kind of activity. And I want to say something about you before we get started. I was in a red bench circle a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about building community. And my table, we realized that you don't build community until you show up. I want to thank all of you for showing up. Luck is when opportunity and preparation come together. You're working on your preparation by being at ACC. You're building your opportunities by showing up today. I want to thank you for that and commend you for it. All right, I'm going to turn things over to Linda. She has a presentation to talk about how you can maximize your time here at ACC.
Frank. So my name is Linda Cox. I'm the Service Learning Program Coordinator at ACC, and I'm kind of a step number one in some ways for your potential career path in something that does good at ACC. This is what I'm going to share just briefly today before we start talking to the panelists. But my quick version of my journey And really, it's a journey to what I think is the best job at ACC. Started in West Texas. I'm from San Angelo, and I grew up with a father who was the head librarian at Angelo State University. So it was kind of in the cards for me that I was going to be a very nerdy, bookish person who loved to read. And I loved to read. I loved books. I just wanted to know all the things. So I went to college in Houston and went to graduate school, and I studied English and philosophy and lots of different things. And I thought, I'm going to go share all my great knowledge and help other people become, you know, take another step on their academic journey. And it was very fulfilling. In college, I went to the Santa Maria Hostel, which is a house for women who have been recently incarcerated and they were let out. And they went to this house to adjust to life outside of prison. And I was teaching adult literacy, and I was teaching GED classes. And I I think it was a very fulfilling thing to do, but I learned along the way that there was a lot I didn't know. These were women who had experiences beyond anything I could ever imagine. And yet they were creatively and with amazing courage and strength getting their education despite all that and through all that. And so, what that experience taught me, and this was in college, was really to listen first and then help. Instead of going in and thinking that I knew what I was doing and that they had something to gain from me, I needed to just listen. And so that started me on a path of trying to be a better listener in these spaces. So I was on boards around town of nonprofits, including one of our panelists, who hopefully will get here after traffic, the Women's Storybook Project of Texas. And I also, at the same time, never let go of that kind of nerdy part that loved philosophy and loved English. So I still got my degrees. I started teaching at ACC, and I started bringing service learning into the classroom. So this was a way to get students involved in whatever way they needed to listen in the community and learn and then serve. And so I kept doing that in my own classes, but then a job opened up at ACC for someone to organize this for the college. So that's where I'm leading to this great job that I have that I love. It's not for everybody, but it's a perfect job for somebody who likes to be in a college situation and also likes to help people find their path to do good. So that's what I'm doing. And there are many, many, many other ways to serve. But I wanted to share that with you just so you know where I'm coming from about service learning and how it really is my passion, even though it's the job I do all day. So, what is service learning? It's a kind of experiential learning that integrates community engagement or service right into the curriculum for credit. It's an active way to get out and meet your course objectives. It's also a way to earn some career readiness skills like communication, leadership, teamwork. There's a lot of that happens in these active engagements with the community. You might get a portfolio project out of it as well. And you do it together in most cases, although we do have remote options and we have on campus options. And I'm going to share a little bit about some of these in just a minute. So I hope you'll enjoy our quick video about the service learning program. And now I have to step over here.
Learning courses help you apply what you're learning in class to the real world.
Regular classes, you're taking exams, you're doing discussion posts, versus service learning is doing the same thing, but eventually taking that outside of the class and you actively use what you learned.
It felt more of a course helping me explore who I am and how college will work for me rather than a required course, pass, fail.
Definitely made me more confident and just made me more comfortable talking to people I didn't know.
Here at ACC, there are unique classes called service learning courses. Now, these are the same as regular ACC courses, except they also give you the opportunity to earn credit while making a difference in your local community. Best part is that they're open to every single student that takes classes at the college, including you.
Service learning is for people who want to take their learning further than pen and paper and textbook.
I would say a service learning class is for people that want to kind of take their learning experience to the next level. Someone who wants to get hands-on with the experience.
Any course at ACC can have a service learning component, from ethics, sociology, and English composition to chemistry and geospatial information systems.
I took EDUC 1300 learning framework with Amber Soccer, and we did a book swap.
My students in digital design help organizations around the community with their websites and mobile applications. I've had several students who were very reluctant leaders blossom into real leaders. It's been amazing to see those students take those leaps. And those are the kind of leaps that they can't get through normal classroom activities.
In my service learning class, we worked with refugees to provide them foundational knowledge to acclimate to the American culture.
Basically, my dental hygiene students provide a series of oral health presentations. They really are sort of the oral health experts, and they're so engaged with their participants, and I get a lot of pride from watching them.
I volunteer for the green team. The goal is to make events zero waste.
My students are involved in what's called the Red Bench Project. It's a dialogue with other classmates and the community at large.
Service learning helped me prepare for transferring. It showed me a taste of what I'm trying to pursue in this career path.
I use iNaturalist. It's a citizen science platform. Students in the iNaturalist community gather, and we have a moth survey. And moths are a good model for surveying the health of your environment.
You can find service learning courses by using the Service Learning search filter on the self-service platform. But I always recommend reaching out to your advisor for registration support.
Hey, you can earn credit and give back to our community.
Earn credit
while making a difference
in the community.
Here at ACC, we're building a culture of service, community engagement, and volunteerism. Service learning is here to help you harness your passions and give you actionable skills to change the world around you. So, let's get started together.
Button here. Okay.
Service learning courses help you apply what you're learning in
Trying to learn how to get back to a presentation. Solved that just yet. Okay, so here we go. Just very quickly, I wanted to run through a few of our projects so you know the scope of the classes and some of the additional classes that we have. We work very closely with the Office of Energy and Sustainability. And by the way, almost all of the people up here are partners in some way or another. But the Sustainable Development Goals, the United Nations have determined that there are 17 different ways that we want to improve the lives of people to create a prosperous, peaceful, and healthy future. So everything from no poverty and zero hunger to number 17, partnerships for the goals. So the networking, the communication, meeting the people that you're here with today is helping build number 17 toward a sustainable future. We have at ACC a project through the GIS program that's called the Tree Survey Project that's helping the city of Austin reach its 50% tree cover by 2050 goal. And the students are measuring trees. They're creating a map, a GIS map, and this is going to become the property of ACC so that they can continue using it as research and also use it toward the City of Austin goal. And we have other classes that joined in by doing soil sampling, a chemistry class, gathered soil samples around campus to map onto this GIS layer for the project. We have other layers too, like tree types and other classes like environmental studies. And we have the Red Bench Dialogue event with Interfaith Action of Central Texas that you heard about. These are students who are trained for 2 hours from the executive director of Interfaith Action of Central Texas, and then they lead structured dialogues following a script for the entire community. And we have about 150 people come with dinner. It's a really wonderful experience, and it's open to everyone. And then we have our community dentistry program that you heard about. It's offered both in the fall and the spring as a full year capstone class for the community for the whole dentistry program. Everyone is required to take this. They do a needs assessment and then plan the program in the fall, and then they go implement it in different community organizations and then evaluate it in the spring. And then we have our learning gardens over at Cypress campus. We're doing that right now, where a number of different classes are coming together, building the gardens, learning from them, experiencing wellness activities, and really building this not just for themselves, but for the benefit of the entire campus. So they're also getting a sustainability education while they're connecting with one another at the same time. We love this project. We have a number of things that we just wanted to toss out here that are in the works. A graduation gown collection and reuse program. We're working with some of our partners around campus. And tomorrow we're going to be starting a project at South Austin campus for a Happy Places class. And they're going to study sticky spaces, which is are places where people gather and form a community together. We need these spaces in order to build community and belonging on campus. And then we have a class of trash. So these are some of our sustainability focused classes. And we try to make all of our events zero waste so that everything is composted, even the silverware. So lots of benefits to students. And I won't go through all of these, but from career readiness skills to sense of belonging and purpose, project management skills, etc. The next step might be that these service learning classes can help on the path to an internship, because we know that employers are getting, it was hundreds, I think it's now thousands of identical AI created applications for the same job. And students need ways to stand out. They need portfolio additions. They need actual networking with actual people that they can refer to. And so that's what all of our experiential learning classes offer. And so you're getting credit in all of these classes while you're getting experience in an industry, including nonprofit industries. But as we'll learn today, it's not just about working for a nonprofit. You can do good in whatever job you have. And so that's really all I have to share with you today. I would like to turn it back over to Professor Reed to talk to our panelists.
Thank you so much. Okay, so we are going to go through a quick introduction of everybody, and then I'm going to start asking questions. And then we're going to turn over to you to ask questions. This is being taped and it will be available, but the cameras are on us, not you. So to protect your privacy, and if you ask a question, it'll still be on us and not you. Okay. Secondly, simultaneously we're having Maddie's running a virtual panel. The focus of this panel is Central Texas focused. Where can we overlap in our interests and skills? The virtual panel is looking at a broader how can you make a difference across multiple states and work across the United States to build coalitions to actually do something. So both of those will be available on the website ACC, no, austincc.edu/peace. And they'll be up there probably next week. Okay. So we are not in order, so I'm going to be proud of myself if I get this done. I should do myself first. I'm Professor Frank Reed. I'm in the management department. My background is that I'm an engineer and a business person. I built things, then I manage people who built things, and then I manage organizations that build things. And I got a call one day, and that call was from a friend who just said, "Show up." And I showed up, and fell in love with what I saw. It was board work, helping organizations with the skills I had developed to be better and to analyze better and to take care of their money better. And I was just jazzed. And I left Austin, I came back. I got back on the board because it was just that intoxicating. And it was the doing good. It was the doing good. I got the opportunity to adjunct here at ACC in the management department, and I jumped at it, and I haven't looked back. I've been a professor now for 16 years, and I spend my days teaching leadership, management, organizational behavior, and that is how I'm doing well and doing good at the same time. I'm helping Central Texas. I'm still doing board work too, but I found a way that my day job is doing well and doing good too. And I sleep a lot better. All right. So to my left, we have Wendy Morse from CASA, um, senior recruitment specialist. She's a senior recruitment. She worked in CASA in various roles for oh, by the way, we focused a lot on the people who can actually tell you about roles in the organizations they represent. So not just representing the organization, but also the roles that are in it. And Wendy lines up perfectly for that. So she's in the recruitment specialist for CASA of Travis County. She's worked in various roles. Prior to CASA, she received her master's in international studies with an emphasis on conflict resolution and human rights. And she spent time working with asylum seekers, refugees, and residential treatment center for children. Next to her, we have Katrina Salinas, who is the Chief Talent Officer for the Central Texas Food Bank since 2018. She's played a pivotal role in shaping the organization's culture, strengthening its talent base, fostering team engagement. Her professional journey spans various industries encompassing medical, financial, technical sectors before she took her talents to do well and do good at the same time. She has a Master's of Art in Training and Performance Improvement from Capella and a Bachelor's of Arts from UT Austin. She also spends time on the Council of Feeding America. She's also been a board member of Explore Austin, and she spent a period of time running the food bank during a time they needed her to run the food bank. All right. So next, we have PJ Washington from
I'm PJ Like the Rock.
I just read. I am so sorry. This is going to give me nightmares. All right. PJ Diamond is a globally experienced educator and action-oriented leader with 15 years of experience in transformative, people-centered learning across higher education, nonprofit, and corporate spaces. She's grounded in the principle of service above self and known for leading powerful conversations that build trust, bridge differences, and translate her values, and meaningful action. She's at Leadership Austin as the Director of Programs. She has been shaped deeply by cross-cultural multilingual experiences, collaborating with leaders and communities across Asia, the Arabic thank you, Arabian Peninsula, and Latin America. I am shaken by that. All right, back in the groove here. She holds a master's in education and a bachelor's degree in Spanish from the University of Pittsburgh, certified in English as second language or foreign language, and is co-founder of the nonprofit Queer Bozeman. BJ also serves as the VP of Public Image for the Rotary Club of Austin and supports the Black Fund of Central Texas. All right. Next we have, I forgot how, I am failing here. Chad Pivotal from IAC, the Interface Action of Central Texas, and he's the director of the refugee program. Dr. Chad has been facilitating discussions and building bridges across differences for nearly 3 decades. Propelled into graduate work in comparative religions after 9/11, he has a PhD from Rice University in Houston, where he researched resources to support interfaith cooperation, social justice, ecological well-being, specializing in mystical and liberation theologies and practices. Prior to that, he earned his master's from Harvard Divinity School, where he focused on Christian transitions in dialogue with Buddhist meditation, and his BA from Southwestern University in Georgetown, Texas, in English and history. Now he's back home in Austin and director of refugee program at the Interface Austin in Central Texas. He is past president of the American Academy of Religion Southwest region. He's also working on his first book, Mystic Hope, Interfaith Cooperation in an Age of Crisis. Next we have Evan Castura. Nice. All right, Evan's a student here at ACC. He's also an employee who's completing his associate's in electrical engineering this spring. That's my people, electrical engineering. All right, drawn to by his desire to contribute to a worthy cause, Evan switched from his warehouse job in 2025 to a job in sustainability. For over a year, he's worked in the office here at ACC of Energy and Sustainability as a sustainability steward in energy and water analytics. He's a student presenter at the 2026 annual Track Summit, where he had the chance to present his work to some of the most amazing people in his work in reducing waste of water and energy across ACC in the last year. Linda, I'm going to skip because she introduced herself. Oh, and then we have April Harold. Could do better next time. April hails from the deep South Texas, and she's an alumni of St. Ed's University, where she earned her bachelor's in psychology and her master's in counseling. Then in 2015, she received a doctorate in human services with a distinction in counseling from Capella University. Currently, she serves as the assistant department chair in human services department in Austin Community College, and she teaches full-time in that department. April's passions lie in academic research encompassing both the writing and conducting of research projects. Additionally, she is dedicated to teaching diversity, inclusion, and acceptance. Her counseling practice is primarily focused on serving the BIPOC community. Since 2010, April has a successful private practice as a licensed professional counselor, as well as her work here at ACC, operating out of 2 locations here in Central Texas, specializing in the treatment of foster children, families, and individuals. Furthermore, she's an advocate for special needs students in public schools and encourages students with disabilities to utilize and comprehend their accommodations to enhance their learning experience and enable them to reach their full potential. Let's just give them a little applause for being here tonight. I'm kind of impressed here. Thank you all. All right, so we're going to go and I'm going to ask everyone to answer this question. I gave titles, but what do you really do on a daily basis for your organization? And I talked about your degrees, but how did you get there from where you started?
Okay. My degree is in conflict resolution and human rights. This is not what I thought I would be doing with my career necessarily. I had never worked with abused and neglected children until I moved here to Texas. I'm from Colorado originally. I moved here and I had been working with refugees and realized very quickly, I speak French, not Spanish, that in Texas, you couldn't work with refugees and not speak Spanish. So I was like, career change. I got a job working at a local residential treatment center where I absolutely fell in love with the children and this population. And I didn't feel like I was qualified to work at CASA with my background. So I became a CASA volunteer and worked a couple of cases for about 2 years and tried to really impress them. So when my supervisor told me she was leaving, I applied for her job. And that was 21 years ago. And I've been there ever since. I've served in a variety of roles. Really quick, what CASA does, we are a nonprofit that trains community volunteers to be advocates for kids who are in foster care. So as a paid staff member, you support a small group of community volunteers as they work with that one-on-one relationship with the children. Our volunteers follow the children through as they move through the foster care system and advocate in courts to ensure that children don't slip through the cracks in an otherwise overburdened foster care system. So I was in that role for many years, about 10 years. And then I taught the volunteer training. It's a 39-hour training to become a CASA volunteer. I taught that for about 7 years or something. And I've been in the recruitment role for 3 years. So now I get paid to talk about CASA. That is my entire job. I go around and I tell people about how awesome it is and try and convince them to come and work and or volunteer with us.
I can yell. We can yell. Oh, there it is. Okay. So remember, I did a lot of counseling with foster care girls. Actually, I did a lot of teenage girls, and yes, I'm a whole doctor, but I wanted to be a CASA worker so badly because they could take them to games in the mall and they can go shopping and they could go to get coffee, and I was just their dumb counselor, and I couldn't do anything fun with them but play Uno. And the CASA workers really made such a huge impact. Yes, we could go to court on behalf of the client and of our kiddos, but the CASA workers really were like standing there with capes on, literally like superheroes, standing by these kiddos who had to face their perpetrators in court sometimes. So yeah, if you can volunteer to be a CASA worker, that'd be great because they have so much fun with these kids. No, I don't even know you, but but I do love you now.
Thank you for that. All right, we're going to keep moving down the road here.
Yes. Okay. It worked. So my story is probably going to be very different than those that you hear today. I work for the Central Texas Food Bank, and I was going to be a lawyer. So ever since I was a kid, I wanted to go to law school. I don't know why, but I love to argue. I love to argue the point, the facts. Anybody that I could argue with, like I loved doing that. And came here to go to UT. I took my LSATs. I was going to law school. Before that, I decided I was going to work in a law firm. And I did that part-time a little bit throughout my career. And then even after I graduated, it's like, I want to get this experience. That experience told me I do not want to be a lawyer for a variety of different reasons. And so I was confused. This is what I wanted to do since I was a kid. Where do I go now? And I actually I started in the recruiting space, and I loved it because I could talk to people. I'm a social person, and I could help people get a job. So that was exciting too. And I think that that's where it started. Even though I didn't make the direct connection, but I was helping another person gain employment. And then I just kind of worked my way up more in the corporate space. And then, my life took me from Austin to San Antonio for a long time and then back to Austin. And I moved back a little over 8 years ago for this job. And, there were a variety of motivators in that. And obviously the mission of the food bank and food insecurity. The CEO at the time loved him. And I wanted to, I've stayed in the HR space because I'm still helping people. And now it's finding a job. It's figuring out the best benefit for you and your family. It is educating you on a career. So you want to move up within the organization. What does that look like? All right, let's talk about where have you been? What do you want to do? What skills do you need? What training classes? So, that helpful component is a part of who I am. I just am now able to define it a little bit more about in what I do on a grander scale. And, I've often been asked, and I was just asked earlier, and thank you for the question, was like, after 8 years, and I will tell you, as somebody who is looking at resumes, people don't have that longevity anymore. So just tip for you as you start your careers. So, what has kept me at the food bank for 8 years? And I often ask candidates that question too, like, why do you want to come work for us? But you can't tell me it's because of the mission. That's what everybody says. And so my response now, and I hold true to that, the mission is there for every person as well as for me. But it's seeing the work that we continue to do in spite of. So food insecurity is, a part of our mission, and it is growing in Central Texas, which is why we build more locations. We're putting up more pantries. We're hiring more people. And the work that we do and how we do it is becoming more strategic. It's not just about giving food. It's about produce. It's about, you talk about sustainability. It's how do we do that? And sustaining ourselves from the world around us. So I could go on, but I didn't start off in this space, but I have an innate part of me just that's a nurturer and wants to help. And I fell into this space and I love it. And I don't see myself doing anything else at this point.
Check, check. All right, we're in. Hey, y'all. How you doing? Doing all right? Excellent. My name is PJ. My pronouns are she, her, she, they. I like them both. And I'm the director of programs at Leadership Austin. Leadership Austin is a nonprofit here in Austin, obviously, that provides leadership development to Central Texas leaders. So we have a few cohort programs that you can apply to and then are selected into, and then you take part of that program over a number of months. And then we also have open courses. And so anybody and everybody, if you're looking to up your skills in difficult talks or multi-generational workplaces or coaching others, you're able to take part in those classes. So that's a little bit about the organization I represent. I am the director of programs. And so in terms of the actual curriculum that we are engaging with, that we're exploring with Central Texas leaders, I'm one of the people who's designing it. So that takes me back to kind of how I started my career. I know Frank mentioned a few nonprofits when he said my name. And so my degree is in Spanish. I have minors in Portuguese and religious studies, and then a certificate of Latin American studies. So if you would have told me, 2011 when I was graduating, that I'd be sitting here talking to you all about doing good work in the community, yeah, I would have laughed at you, because that's not what I was thinking that I was going to do. But my master's degree is in education. And so kind of like Katrina was saying, I'd say that service is kind of an integral part of who I am. rewinding even further back, in high school, I actually had the opportunity to be an exchange student with Rotary International. If anybody's familiar with Rotary, heck yeah, Rotary. And so my junior year of high school, actually, I lived in Argentina for a year, but being a part of Rotary International exposed me to an organization, exposed me to a way of life that is service. So going back to that motto of service above self, it comes from Rotary International. It is their motto, and AKA my motto. So all of that to say, where was I? So my master's is in education. I have spent probably the first decade of my career was in education. So predominantly in higher education. I was teaching at Montana State University. I worked in admissions for a number of years at the University of Pittsburgh, and have worked with students, high school students through college students. But then I've also taught kindergarten. And so I have done kind of a little bit of everything as it pertains to the education space. So then fast forward to 2022, I was working at Montana State University, and rawly put, I did not feel safe on campus anymore. And so I decided to leave the public sector. I decided to leave the university space, and I actually went into private consulting for a couple years, which was incredible and also soul sucking in a way. As a person that does live by the motto service above self, I love to help others. I love to be a multiplier, an extension of others. The private consulting space was tough. And so in transitioning out of that, I established my own consulting firm and started consulting with nonprofits in Bozeman, Montana. I also co-founded a nonprofit during that time called Queer Bozeman. Look it up. We're doing big things. I'm also happy to talk about it more if you're interested. And so in that process of doing my own thing, my sibling had moved to Austin, and we both had been living out of the country for a number of years, and she moved here. I checked it out a couple times. I started joking like, hey, wouldn't that be cool if we were in the same zip code? And then I showed up and was like, it's not a joke no more. I'm living here, and have been pleasantly surprised by the number of nonprofits here in Austin. I mean, there are literally thousands of nonprofits here in the Central Texas region. And as it pertains to my work, I would say I knew that I wasn't wanting to go back into higher education or the education space, but I also didn't want to go back into consulting and the private sector space. So I began looking at the nonprofit space, and specifically with this focus of education, whether it be adult learning, whether it be helping kids. It kind of didn't matter. I was looking for a way to plug in here in Austin, being relatively new. I've been here for just shy of 2 years now. So all that being said, I found Leadership Austin very quickly in just my LinkedIn search and just having conversations with folks in the area, and met with the CEO, and really the rest is history from there. I applied for the position and then got the position. And this last year, I was actually promoted as well. So we're growing. We're doing big things with Leadership Austin. And so really excited that I'm here to talk to you all about it, about Leadership Austin, but also about the Rotary Club of Austin as well. That's another organization that I'm heavily involved in here in Austin. So kind of a what's that called? Full circle moment. And then also the Black Fund of Central Texas. So I do a little bit of everything, I guess, in that regard, but really excited to be here with you all. Thank you.
And I am a graduate of Leadership Austin, so I'm happy to sing their praises up and down. And my aunt, who passed away, spent the last several years of her life volunteering for CASA. So many wonderful things to say about CASA as well. And the food bank feeds our refugee kids in the summer. So I am Chad Pivoto. My pronouns are he, him. I am the director of the refugee program for Interfaith Action of Central Texas, or IACT. We teach English. That's the biggest program we have. We have virtual classes and in-person classes. for refugees, asylum seekers, victims of trafficking. And we have youth mentoring for refugees ages 15 to 24, as well as health and wellness classes and peer support gatherings. But IACT, the larger nonprofit, our mission is to cultivate peace and respect through interfaith dialogue, service, and celebration. So the refugee program is our big part of our service. We have another service wing called Hands-on Housing, which helps older, low-income people be able to stay in their homes with safety and dignity. We actually have some painting events coming up the next 2 weekends. If you're looking for a short-term way to volunteer, we could use lots of people out there painting. I don't know how that's going to turn out this weekend with the rain, but we'll reschedule sometimes. So that's the service component. The interfaith dialogue, we do the Red Bench. We do it every month. We do it twice a year with ACC. That's a wonderful partnership and collaboration. That's great. And then we also have what's called a passport program, where we visit different faith communities around the Central Texas area. They give us a little sort of orientation lecture into their tradition, and then we participate in their services. So if you're interested in getting to know our neighbors, that's a wonderful program to step into each month. So that's IACT, and that's what I do on a daily basis. I have a staff of about 15 people. Many are refugees themselves, and I manage the staff. I take great joy in trying to make our workplace a joyful workplace, a place where everyone feels seen, where they feel supported. And I'm very happy to get up each morning and spend my time doing that for my staff, supporting them in that way. And then, a lot of my time I do spend just keeping the trains running on time and putting out fires. But my most joyful moments are when I'm just getting to support our staff and help them to do and be better at serving the refugees. And how did I find myself here? Well, I grew up in Austin. Always kind of had a heart for others. I went to Southwestern University, just north, and actually started work kind of through a happenstance, working 20 hours a week as the director of youth and young adult programs for St. Michael's Episcopal Church. And that's when 9/11 happened. Well, actually, I did that for about a decade. I tend to tell my story in decades. So for a decade, I was a youth minister. 9/11 happened, and I really felt I might have something to do or say to help us be more welcoming of people who are different than us. And so I went to graduate school, first at Harvard and then at Rice. With a year in between working at nonprofits in DC. Happy to talk about that. But research resources to help us all get along. I taught those resources as a philosophy and religion professor for just over a decade, basically focusing on interfaith leadership. And most recently, I taught a course. The last course that I taught was called The Art and Science of Human Flourishing. That was at TCU. And that course was like the best it was developed by the University of Wisconsin Center for Healthy Minds, sort of best practices for how we as a human society can and individuals can flourish. And it really inspired in me the desire to get back to more practical work. Plus, my parents are getting older, and I wanted to return after 20 years away. I wanted to return home to Austin, and was fortunate enough to find this really good fit for my path and my skills at IACT, and I've been doing this for about 3.5 years now.
Mic check. My name's Evan Costura. I am an ACC student, and I also work in this very campus for the Office of Energy and Sustainability here at ACC. I guess a little bit about the office and what we do. I would say there's two main facets to it. There's one, what we do to keep the campus sustainable, and two, what we do to help spread the message of sustainability and the habits into our students and faculty at ACC. So I think, as most of you are probably related to ACC in some ways, students, faculty. A lot of you probably know about the Green Pass. We offer a free bus pass for Cap Metro for all ACC students. A couple other things like Linda mentioned, we collaborate with Service Learning. We have the raised gardens at Cypress and soon to be at Highland as well. And then for the other facet of it, what I'm mostly dealing with, I do the energy and water analytics. So I'm analyzing data, I'm looking at our consumption of all of our resources and making sure we're not having any inefficiencies or wasting things when we don't need to be. But yeah, a little bit about how I got here. So I am a student here still. This is my last semester at ACC. I'm so sad, but it's been a good journey. I'm about to get my associates in electrical engineering. And when I started, and even before I started, I worked a ton of jobs. I've been working for out of high school, in high school, and I guess being in engineering, it's not a super easy field to get into entry level. You basically need a master's in a lot of situations. Um, but I was lucky enough at one point to find myself, and this is what was referred to in my bio. My previous job, I worked at a warehouse, and it was an engineering type of role. I was basically looking at small like semiconductors, inspecting, looking for counterfeits. It was for a distributor, and I worked there for a while. But having been like a chronic job hopper for my entire career, if you want to call it that, um, I was I realized there was something that was not very attractive to me about working a job where there wasn't a lot of good behind it, and I really liked what I was doing. I liked the engineering. I like the aspects of making something, testing things. Um, but I didn't feel like I was contributing to something bigger if all I was contributing to was putting another dollar in the boss man's pocket. And so I was fortunate enough to find an opportunity here at ACC and the ACC job board. They had an opening for sustainability steward, and I applied for both of them, and I got one of them, and here I am. And I've been here for over a year, and it's been absolutely amazing.
You. I'm going to pass because you know all about me right now. So let's go to April. Just this question.
All right, I'm April. So how did I get, or how did I get into what I'm doing now? So I have a lot of roles. I wear a lot of hats. So I am a professor here at ACC. I'm also a professor at St. Ed's, and don't hate me, but 3 other universities online. And so I have a lot of experience with this. But first and foremost, and my mom still has this somewhere, I wrote an essay in 7th grade about how I wanted to be a counselor. And mind you, I mentioned earlier, I'm Latina. We don't do counseling. I'm from deep South Texas. So we're getting better. We're getting better at accepting mental health as health, right? Um, and so I I remember writing the essay, put it away, and I decided I'm going to be a doctor. I'm going to go to St. Ed's. I had an amazing teacher who, through Tisha, I just met. Um, she's an AmeriCorps alum person that you guys should talk to. But he got one of my teacher, Mr. Moody. He got me a little job with AmeriCorps Youth Harvest, and that really did change the projection of my whole life. Um, Through him, through AmeriCorps, I was able to get into St. Edward's University, get out of the valley, get my whole family out of the valley, which was really what we needed. We lived in a barrio, like our neighbors. We were fortunate enough to have toilets because my dad is a carpenter, but it's a very, very poor situation. Um, and so I was going to be a doctor. And I told Mr. Moody, I'm going to go to St. Ed's and I'm going to be a doctor. And I didn't pass organic chemistry, not once, not twice, 3 times. 3 times. The 4th time I was going to take it, St. Ed said, actually, You're on academic probation. You need to take organic chemistry at ACC and pass it. And then we'll accept you back into the pre-med program. Otherwise, you have to change your major. So I did both. I took pre-med at ACC, the fantastic teacher. I got a C, guys. C's get degrees. C's get degrees. And still couldn't see it. My professor here at ACC was so amazing. This was back in 99, maybe. And he said, "You in organic chemistry, you have to see it." I couldn't see it. I still can't. I don't need to know that. It's fine. I'm a counselor. I still couldn't do it. Took abnormal psychology at St. Ed's, and it was so easy. It was so easy. It just came so easy to me. So my mom brought out my little essay, and she's like, "Mija, don't worry about it. Maybe you're right, and you need to be a counselor. Maybe if this is so easy for you, and you're getting straight A's in all these counseling classes and psychology courses, maybe this is where you need to be." Which was really difficult because then I had to tell, my whole family, who is also Latino, uh, I'm going to be a counselor that deals with mental health that we don't believe in. Right? Um, but that really projected me into finishing all the way. You don't need to have a PhD to be a good counselor. You don't need to have a PhD to be a counselor, period. But I wanted to do that for my family. I'm the first person to ever go to school, go to college, first person in the entire family to have a PhD. And I really think that makes a huge difference. Now, I've done a lot of counseling work, and what I do on a regular basis, if you saw me before this, I was doing a walk and talk session with the kiddo on the phone, right? So I still see kids and clients all the time as a counselor. I don't want to give that up. I feel like that really does help me change lives in a very minute way, right? But it does. But guys, and maybe this is too much information, but I protest all over the nation, right? Um, my last big protest was a couple weekends ago. And the thing is, though, I see that I make a much bigger difference in the classroom than I do at a protest, at least right now, right? Um, and and I say that because we are teaching people to think. And you can think however you want to. I just want you to think. That's it, right? And so every day I have classes. Today I had a couple classes here at ACC. Tomorrow I have another class at ACC and one at St. Ed's at night. And that just gives me such an opportunity to really speak to people and hopefully change their lives and plant seeds. But in terms of like helping, counseling is one of those things that I never want to stop doing. I mean, I could stop now, right? I've been in the field for 20 years and I could stop now. But when you love what you do, it doesn't feel like a job, right? Did I answer everything? Yeah, I think I did.
Great job, dude. I want to emphasize a couple of things I heard that I want you guys to really internalize. The first one is there's no straight lines in a career. You heard stories of uncertainty. Am I qualified? Stories of failure. And we're fairly confident people at this point sitting up in front of you saying that this is not where we started. And we also heard a theme of, for most of us, there was a manager or a person. There was someone who helped us along the way. And I don't think most students realize how much the people you interact with at ACC want to be a part of your success and are willing and waiting for you to ask. Some of us will get in your face and do it anyway, but think about the professors that you respect and talk to them. I could have brought up a panel of my peeps from engineering, and they would have told you about making chips for the Apple Macintosh or the IBM PC, and then you would ask. I could ask them what was their impact, and you would have heard crickets. Every person up here talked about the impact of their work and how much it matters. Um, quick plug for our international courses. As ACC students, we've got courses all over the world. Check them out. And the one thing we also talked about is accidentally is how intertwined all of the organizations are. You can't cross. You got to hold hands when you cross the street. We're when you're tackling meaningful problems, it's best to get help. So the next question, I- I'm just going to ask to the group, and whoever feels it can answer. And I'm gonna call out PJ because they they were great. They let us know that this was a good question because social good is a what the heck is social good? How do you know you're doing a social good? And I think it means something different to each of us. So, how would you define a social good career? Anyone feeling it? Go for it.
Well, you put me on the spot, so I'll say a few comments, and then I'm happy for anybody else to jump in. Full transparency, it's like when the email came through in terms of social good, like I understand the words, obviously, but I had to think about it for a minute. And my question was, you know, we're using this word social good in our panel questions and maybe some of the publications that we have, but like it's not defined anywhere. So are we on the same page as to what social good stands for or means? That's really what my question was. So straight up, I Googled it because I wanted to make sure that I
also Googled it.
Okay, perfect. I'm not alone. Thank
So
you.
we've got the same definition.
Perfect, perfect. Well, and I will point out maybe just a caveat of that. The definition said something along the lines of a social good career is a career in which a person is able to provide for their family while also impacting the community. And that's an interesting thing for a person who is childless by choice. And so I changed the definition a little bit of a person that is able to uh, provide for themselves and more if they want, while also positively impacting the community. So I think it's an interesting concept, though, of thinking about social good as a career because as I mentioned, my career has been in education predominantly, and now I'm in the nonprofit space, but I've done a lot outside of my work life. For example, with the Rotary Club of Austin or with the Black Fund of Central Texas or the organization Queer Bozeman that wasn't dealing with my job at all, but they were areas of my society or of my community that I want to impact and that I want to help and that I want to support. And so I am currently creating a social good career for myself of intertwining my work life with the good works that I'm doing in society and in our communities. Anyone else?
Can I add something too? I thought of this, Frank, when you mentioned the Apple engineers. So I was a founding board member of the Women's Storybook Project, which helps women who are incarcerated read stories to their children so that they maintain this connection. And they're now in all of the women's Texas prisons. They're moving into federal prisons in Texas. So it's a large organization run by volunteers. But at one point, so this is a highly technical problem to have because they're going into the prisons in Texas and having them with technology read to their children. And they were, just you can't bring a cell phone, you can't bring technology into prisons without a lot of work. But they were trying to solve a problem of, they were using tape recorders and they needed to move into even the 20th century, much less into the computer era, and the streaming area. But there were some Apple engineers who volunteered with the Storybook Project, and they're like, why don't we just do this thing and do this engineering feat? And nobody else. These were all primarily women who were retired, 60 to 80-year-olds. But they did it. So they were in the right place at the right time, and they used their passion for good. So it wasn't intentional, but sometimes just being in the right place is what you need to do.
Love my engineers. Good people. And again, it's we all have talents. You can tell your talents because it's easy to you, even though it's hard to somebody else. Right? So if organic chem, crash and burn on that too. If organic chem is easy for you, you have a talent. If et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So find your talents and then see where it overlaps here. There's a question that we wrote down that I don't think I believe. And it says, are there any specific skills or experiences that help you have a social good career? And what I heard from everybody up here is no. If you're in logistics and supply chain, I know the Central Texas Food Bank has something for you. If you're in event planning, I know Leadership Austin has something for you. I know that no matter what you do, CASA has a place for you. And I know no matter what faith you have, that IAC has a place for you. So I don't believe in that question, but I'm still struggling with social good careers. So is teaching a social good career?
Let's see. Okay. So for me, the best career advice I ever read was that where your desires and passions and the world's needs meet, that's where your work will be holy or blessed, or you'll find it really rewarding. And if you desire to just make a lot of money, there are lots and lots of careers out there for that. But for me, a social good career is a career that's looking at that connection between the desire to and the need to make a living, put food on the table, pay the rent, which is incredibly high in Austin. So you gotta tick that box off. But if that connects to making the world a better place, towards helping other people's lives, then that to me is a social good career.
Can I add something? I think starting small. We've talked a lot about how we've gotten where we're at, and it can be overwhelming. I mean, you're listening to all of us like, this is what we've done. We've done this for 20 years, 10 years, 30 years, whatever it is. And you're like, wow, start small. Go volunteer somewhere. I see exchanging of information in this way as doing good. So if you have something to share, whatever that is, start there, one step at a time, and you will start making your impact. You will start figuring out who you are in this space. If you want to be in this space, and maybe it's one of those things that you're like, I don't know if this is for me. I want to go make some money first. Go do that. And I talk to candidates all the time that are later in their career, and they talk about how I chased the money, I chased the career, I did this, I did that. Now I'm ready to take a step back, slow down. I took care of me, took care of my family, did this, that, and the other, and now I want to do good. So you start wherever you're ready. Start small.
Yeah, I was taught that I had to do well before I could do good. And I think most of the people up here defy that advice. And I agree, finding where your passion and your talents and the world's need, and I'm an MBA, I'm a business person, so I want to get paid. And the world is willing to pay for it. That's the magic. You can line those things up. I Katrina led into the last question, I think, which is what do you let's make the assumption that our students want to get to where you are now. What do you want them to know that we haven't touched on? Oh, yeah, whoever feeling it.
Him again? Katrina. So Katrina tried to be a lawyer for a while and found that not okay, right? I wanted to echo what Katrina said about volunteering, because social good careers, you can get a really good taste for what they're like by just going out and volunteering. And let me tell you, we need you to volunteer, right? All that you're going to be doing good immediately as soon as you volunteer. Raise your hand and say, "What can I do?" And you'll also just get such a great taste of what that work could be like. And you can volunteer at a bunch of different places, and you can talk, we love to talk about what we do. And so you can ask those questions. It's just so easy. It's not as easy to sort of like knock on the door of Apple and say, "Can I volunteer at Apple?" Right? But you can knock on our doors and want to volunteer, and we are going to welcome you with open arms. And so you would find out, do you want to work here or that? You'll get a sense for the different jobs, right? There's things in logistics, there's things in administration, there's things that are public facing, not public facing, right? In any one organization, there's going to be a lot of different roles. So you might be passionate about helping youth, for example, but you're not good with kids. There's still ways you could do that work and support that work. So yeah, volunteering is I think the key skill. If you're interested, take your ACC education, do the service learning, and volunteer.
And I want to just add to that. Somebody mentioned this earlier. I can't remember who it was. We have a ton of nonprofits in Austin. There are so many really cool volunteer opportunities out there. And my advice is figure out what you're passionate about. What kind of minute change do you want to make? Is it changing the lives of children or ensuring that people are fed or, educating people? There's opportunities out there, and then try it through volunteerism. And that's how I discovered that I wanted to work in this field. It started as a volunteer and was like, I can see doing this 40 hours a week for the rest of my life. And you do have so many opportunities to try working with adults or working with the prison population or working with children, and then really seeing where your passion is.
Oh, I was actually going to ask you this question because I know that probably everyone in this room, people who are in fields where we do good, people who are interested in that, have a tendency to give and maybe sometimes overgive. So I was going to say that it's important to take care of yourself as you help others along the way, and I wanted to ask you about.
So Linda's talking about self-care. So self-care. So I'm a runner. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday. Well, Sunday I switched to hiking and my husband hates it now. But I run 6, 7, 8 miles every other day. And I'm a very, very much a kinesthetic learner. And so I'm also that type of person in real life. I'm a doer, which I think a lot of us are up here and a lot of you are, right? And so I had to do something about it. Um, I'm not a very big like spa person and I can't sit still enough to get my nails done or anything like that. But I'll run. I have the attention span of a flea, y'all. But I'll run. I'll run, right? Or I'll work out or I'll go on these long hikes and I really am intentional with that with my runs. I'm really intentional with my hikes. I'm really intentional with self-care. Whatever it is, it can be cooking, cleaning, it can be writing in a journal, it can be reading, it can be anything like that. That you just engage in self-care because doing good is also doing good for you. You cannot pour from an empty cup, right? So you have to fill your cup. Even if it's a few drops here and there, you still have to fill your cup. And in terms of the last question, in terms of, um, what to do, talk to your ACC professors. Y'all, I did mention that I teach all over the place. ACC is home for me. I am slowly getting rid of most of the universities I work for, ACC feels like family. It feels like the population I want to be in. Your professors were hired because they worked in the field that they're teaching you. They didn't just graduate and get a degree and come and work for ACC as a professor. We have experiential learning. We have experienced what we're teaching you. Come and talk to us. That's step one. Come talk to us and we'll hook you up with any organization, right? Take classes here. Take classes. A lot of your degree programs will have a service learning excerpt to it, right? Where you or a requirement. Well, you'll have to do a couple hours here, a couple hours there. For our human services plan, you have a whole 160-hour internship, 1 and 2, that you have to complete. And that means you sign up to volunteer at one of these great organizations as a case manager, as a med aide, as a counselor, as an intake counselor, anything, right? To get your feet wet and see if this is something that you want to do, right? And that's really, really important. The other piece is start small. Start small. Because, and I tell people this all the time, I know you want to change the world, but let's start with your world. Let's start with your community, with your neighborhood. Build that little place, that little world that you want to see change, and then it grows from there. Because I guarantee there's not many of you out there, but all of you will talk about this to someone in your life, and then they'll talk about it, and then it'll grow from there. So whose world are we actually changing? We're changing everyone's world, little by little.
Thank you. I'm coming out there for your questions. Um, but let me just build on what they said. This is hard stuff, what they do. We're sitting up here smiling, but this stuff is sometimes heartbreaking. And when you sign up for this, every time you go home in the evening, there's another kid that needs help. There's another family that needs to be fed. There's another refugee that needs support. There's another child that needs to be counseled. You're never done. And that is a tremendous burden if you don't take care of yourself. And that's the dark side of doing social good, is that it's really, really hard. And I've worked with so many organizations with people who are on the front line, and it's hard. You need to build up your own support system in order to do it. You can't do it alone. Right? I saw lots of nodding, so I think I got that right. Uh, anything else and raise your hand while I'm walking out?
Yeah, I might just add, and it's a bit of a summary of what folks were saying, but putting on my college hat in ways. A couple of things that I would say. Number one, get to know yourself. So folks have been naming like get to know your passion. Yes. Get to know your strengths. Yes. Get to know your blind spots. What aren't you very good at and what don't you like to talk about so much? Yes, know those things because it's going to make you better, a better friend, a better employee, a better community member, period. So get to know yourself. Number two, take time to slow down. So April was talking about self-care. Absolutely. That's a great way to slow down. But also thinking about the various resources that you all have here at ACC. Take advantage of them, y'all. This is the only place that you have counselors and professors and all the resources that you can imagine. This is the place to take advantage of it. So do it. Slow down, know yourself, but take advantage of the tools that are available to you so that you can really harness what you're actually learning. The last thing, be graceful with yourself. We've all explained our paths and none of it was linear. None of it was fully what we thought when we were 7 years old or in 7th grade or whatever it was. And so having grace with yourself, saying yes when it feels good, saying no when it doesn't, and knowing that no is a full sentence, actually. But yeah, having grace with yourself and knowing that as long as you're listening to yourself and you're knowing yourself, you're going to pick what's right. And then lastly, if you're thinking about your community, you're thinking about your people, you're thinking about your neighbors, in the mix of that, even more so, you're going to pick the right thing. Just have some grace with yourself.
I truly like that last one. Embrace the chaos. I mean, everything that you do gives you another experience that you can bring to whatever it is that you find at the end of the road that you want to do. Nothing ever gets wasted. So we have one question for you guys.
Hi, my name is Amy Chance, and I'm actually one of Professor Frank's online students this semester. And I saw the advertisement. I'll say I'm a senior student. I'm not a senior, but I am, of age. And I'm in my second act. So I was in the cafeteria a few weeks ago and I saw the invitation for this event. And I've been looking all over school and I haven't found it again. And every time I go to the cafeteria, they're closed. So he told us about it yesterday. I was like, oh my God, I want to go. So it worked out perfect because in being in my second act, it's like, who do I want to be? I'm trying to reinvent myself. And I am very intrigued because I definitely want to live a socially good, gracious, graceful life. And so my question would be like, what is the purpose of you guys being here? I mean, I understand like you're sharing your information and your background and I appreciate it. But are you here to do more than just recruit the students to volunteer? Do you guys actually have openings or are you trying to hire some of us today? Because I am very interested in like having something like this be my second act. And I appreciate what you said about protesting all over the nation. In my second act, I'm doing a lot of volunteering and a lot of activism and a lot of standing up for other people. So yes, I have goosebumps because like this is like my jam. So I'm here for it.
So I will just, my purpose of being here is really to share information and about how I got here, how I ended up here. It was not a straight line. But to answer your question, we are hiring.
Too.
Yeah. So take a look at our websites. We have a lot of positions open in a variety of spaces. We're opening up a new facility in Waco and working on, staffing that location. So we have positions open on a regular basis in a wide variety of areas. So I would start there, and I would imagine everyone else might as well.
Just for kicks, those of you who are aware or your organization has openings, raise your hand. There you go.
Hired our last person. So it's like you just missed the cutoff.
Okay.
For our team right now.
Oh, okay. I'm going to repeat that question. The question is, are those positions posted? And if so, where?
Yes, ours are posted, centraltexasfoodbank.org, and everything's spelled out. Like our website is this long. But yes, a wide variety of positions.
CasaTravis.org, and I think it's /careers if you want to go straight to the career page.
Position I have in mind is for a summer teacher, and I haven't posted it yet. So if your first act was in teaching, let's talk. Interfaithtexas.org careers, but we also post on Indeed a lot. So if you're curious for places that's our go-to. Where we don't tend to hire until it's been for one of the full-time positions until it's been up on Indeed for a certain period of time, but trick, do not. We always specify we want you to email careers at interfaithtexas.org. So read the thing. Like, don't just click through Indeed or don't just click through LinkedIn. I sometimes don't even look at those when I'm hiring because I've said email to this. Sometimes it's been email me, but usually it's email at our careers email. And the people who do that, I'm like, oh, you already self-elected, and we've got a good pool of amazing sounding people from there. So why would I go to this other pool of people who are just hitting click? So yeah, that would be a little advice.
Great advice. Follow the instructions.
Nice.
Follow the instructions. Read the instructions and then follow them. Yes.
And I think I can speak for all of us. I think the average, you're on your second act, Amy. I think on average, I think most of the panel is on their fourth. Yeah, I think that's what I heard.
Let me just add one thing. I was at a conference last weekend in Houston. All of the CEOs at this conference, and this would apply to nonprofits, I'm sure as well, but said, whenever you apply for a job, be sure to have a connection, meet someone. You've now been here, you've met these people, you've heard them. So mention that. There's no shame in talking about that you're here today and what you learned, and know what their mission is.
I've interviewed people whose maybe their resume didn't quite match the position as well, but in their cover letter they said, "Oh, I volunteered for IACT back when I was in college." And I'm like, "All right, so I'm going to have a conversation with you because you've got that connection to the mission and to the work."
And I wanted to piggyback off of what Linda was saying, and also going back to volunteering a little bit. Something I think is so important to footnote to that is the connections that you make while you're doing it, especially like in a lot of do good careers. They're very small, they're very intimate, and it's so important to know the people and have those connections. So when you do go out and volunteer, make sure you meet someone, get someone's contact, or even just be memorable. And when they see you apply to somewhere, they'll be like, "Oh, I like that person. They volunteered."
My question was actually more for. Oh yeah, my name's Oscar. I use any pronouns. Um, I guess my question is more for you because you had mentioned that you worked in teaching business, right? So when I was like 17, I got hired by my first best friend's dad at a plant nursery, and then it turned out I really, really liked working there, and that I guess turned out to me my like cutie mark or whatever. Like that was my actual talent, was just plants. Um, and I found I worked there for 10 years. I actually just quit last year because it got a little too hard on my body. And I decided to go back into school and hopefully create my own business, but not just for profit, specifically because if John didn't give me that job, I probably wouldn't be here today. I think a career and employment can really give you a purpose, even if you don't necessarily intend on saving the world. It a lot of times can just give you something to do. And so my question is, I actually I don't really know. I'm more just looking for general advice. I want to start my own company that can do that, that can give people um basically like experience and jobs and be the same kind of support that my boss was for me. And I'm wondering if you have any advice for starting out a small business, like with the first employees and stuff like that, and filing. I'm actually already working with the ACC Elgin campus right now. That's where the shop is going to be. We're still figuring that out, but I already have like clearance from Chandler and the head of the department, Savannah Rugg, and my professor Hunter Eichmann. So I'm like kind of in the process of it. It's not just pie in the sky, but I'm wondering if you have any advice for that.
Okay. First of all, that's in my wheelhouse, so I'm happy with that. The first one is a shameless plug for my department. We have a small business class, and we just got approved a full entrepreneur program for you to do that. I would start with the entrepreneur class, and as I think it was Linda, but someone said all of our professors have done it. All right, so the lead professor in our small business used to run the small business office for the city of Austin. She knows every lender, every person in the city. And no one is allowed to teach that course that hasn't had to miss their own paycheck in order to pay their employees. If you haven't gone through that, you can't teach that course. All right, so start there. I'll just say Professor Valdez is amazing. The second thing I'll say is listen to the virtual um, panel because Naima McQueen, that's her specialty, is getting small businesses to do social good in underrepresented populations and getting them funded, training them up to run. It's what she does, it's what she lives for, it's her passion. Shameless plug, she's my niece. Yeah. Um, but and finally, we're building a small business incubator too. And I don't know the timeline on that, but we're staffing up to to back you up on all of this stuff. Vicky Vicky Valdez. And she knows I give out her name, so she won't be mad. Small business right now it's just small business, but again, she just got a full program approved. Yeah, she'll know about that too. She's the lead on that too. Meet her, BV B Valdez at austincc.edu. Those two V's look like a W, so be careful. And she's she's amazing. All right. Other oh,
Hi, thank you for being here. My name is Marie Jimenez. I like they, them pronouns. I had a question. I think in my uh, career experience, such a big part of working and trying to do good is like your actual team that you're working with. So I wanted to know if you had any advice about like finding or building a good team with like good shared values so y'all get along.
I love this topic because it's something that I like to do in my workplaces too. Organizational culture is really important to me. Um, in the work that I've done, kind of leading up to now, has been in the diversity, equity, and inclusion space. And so thinking about things like psychological safety, trust and respect, dignity, compassion, empathy. Those things are all really important to me. And so I guess in terms of some advice for you is, I think first and foremost is like feeling it out yourself. You know, you don't really know until you're actually at the place. All the interviews that you'll take, every single person is going to tell you on the other side of that, oh, it's great to work here. And you really don't know until you personally get there, right? So one, you got to feel it out. Two, and I'm saying this from my own experience of maybe not fully feeling seen or not feeling like my voice has much weight. Tag teaming with a partner at the organization. So as somebody mentioned, you know, nonprofits are pretty small. I mentioned that we just hired kind of the last teammate right now. And so we're at 9 folks total. We are a small yet mighty team. And so partnering with 1 or 2 allies as a part of that team to say, hey, here are some things that I'm noticing. What are you feeling? So leaning into some curiosity as to what that person's experience is like. And then hopefully, I mean, I would imagine that if one person is not feeling seen, it's not just one person. There might be other instances too. So then working together, how might we change our culture a little bit? Is it as simple as having certain time during our all teams meeting that we're getting to know each other, or we're asking about each other's lives and or families, or what we did last weekend, or our favorite ice cream flavor? It doesn't kind of matter, but just getting to know each other as humans. Secondly, at the place of maybe wanting to impact deeper change, working with those allies to bring in certain tools, bring in certain frameworks. So again, I would say, sorry, I lost my train of thought a little bit, but yeah, bringing in your leadership at that point as well. If you're feeling safe, if you're feeling comfortable, if those allies aren't a part of your leadership, bringing that person in or those people in as well is also really helpful. But I work from a place of transparency. I work from a place of communication. And that is the advice that I would give, is kind of setting that example yourself. And then when you notice something, say something. Who are your teammates as a part of the mix, and how might they help you to make that positive change?
So I'm going to be reaching.
So I was just going to add to what PJ said. Um, Ultimately, everything she said, as well as remember your mission, right? So if lights are going out around you, you are the light, right? And so then you try, you're a match. Well, there's a burn ban. There's no burn ban. Let's just pretend, right? And you're a match, and you're gonna slowly light everyone back up again. Does that make sense? So you remember, you go back to the basics. What is the mission of this organization that I'm with, right? And if your light keeps getting dimmed, you're in the wrong place. Then your light will shine somewhere else, right? So you have to remember that as well. And that's for every, but ultimately, those of us who work in social good jobs and have careers in it, we're genuinely good people that genuinely get along. And yeah, we're going to have bad days sometimes. Like, what are you looking at? Leave me alone, right? We're going to have bad days, but we, at the end of it all, we have to remember our mission. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Sorry, I don't mean to be negative today. Uh, uh, I mentioned that I've run companies and or large organizations, and part of the reason I was asked to be on board was to help deal with organizations that had grown on social good but developed toxic culture. And while everyone goes there for the right reasons, not everyone has the skills and training to manage in the right way. And I can honestly say that I've had interactions with all the nonprofits up here, and they were specifically chosen because they know that culture is, at the end of the day, the only thing that matters. Culture is how people behave when you're not around. And as a leader, that's really your only job, is to make sure that people behave toward each other, toward their clients, toward their partners in the way that it is true to the culture of the organization. With that, we are out of time. You guys are great. You guys are great. Um, I think everyone has a few minutes to stay around and talk with you guys. So come on and say hi and get to know these people as people. So come on down. Thank you, everyone. Oh, thank you, AV guy. He rocks. There's a hand. All right.